Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me here. We're on our second class, October 31st. Fortunately, I wasn't able to do any cute Halloween things. It's been a busy week, but I'm very glad that you're all here. So this is going to be about beginning your design, and it was supposed to be about design fundamentals. But honestly, beginning your design became such a large subject that I've cut out the design fundamentals part. That will be next week's class. We'll be focusing on that because I want to really just focus on beginning your design for this one. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give some quick class updates. Then we're going to go into design conception, draw a conclusion based on what we discussed, and go over homework. Pretty straightforward approach. So, got a couple of class updates. We are going to be reducing the number of classes down to 8 classes to have this course be overall more focused. We're also going to be moving classes to Saturdays. So I sent out that survey to everybody asking them what day of the week works best. Overwhelmingly, it was Saturdays. Couldn't implement that for this week, but starting next week, classes are on Saturdays. We're also going to be introducing a new homework format. So I was thinking about kind of the overall problem of like last year's design foundation class. We had a very robust and well-structured homework format that also wound up with about an extra month of work for me that was really quite challenging. Going to do a new homework format that captures a lot of the essences of what you guys need as a designer, but also pulls in members of the community more into the entire process. We got a new presentation format. So you've probably noticed already, these presentations look differently than they did before. So I'm messing around with that. Honestly, it's a little rough. So some of these slides might look a bit messy, but it's just, I'm workshopping it. Then lastly, we've got our Paladin program. So for those of you who don't know, we've got a program at FDI called the Paladin program where we deputize members of the FDI community to just help support and reinforce the community. So they're student helpers, so to speak. So the Paladins this year are going to be much more present, in particular helping with weekly homework and iterations. If you're interested in joining the Paladin program, I'll be sending out a application form. Actually, I think the application form's already been sent out. I might just send it out again. We'll see. All right. So jumping into it with starting your design. One of the things I'm trying to be a lot more mindful of time for these lectures going forwards because I do tend to ramble. Hopefully less rambling this class. Okay, jumping in. All right, so what do designers do? 85% of your time as a designer, you're either developing features or solving problems. It's very rare that as a professional designer, someone's going to go to you and say, make something from whole cloth. I need you to make a game. It's like, no, I need you to make a multiplayer lobby, or I need you to design a shotgun weapon, or I need you to design puzzles, or to fix a menu system, or resolve level layout issues. These are all design problems. This is the bulk of what you do. A lot of what I do as well as a professional designer is I'll work with clients and they'll say, we got a specific problem we need you to solve. And I'm like, all right, let me take a look at it and I'll let you know how you're going to solve that from a design side. Someone's screen told Freeman. Sound is very low again. Okay, we're having some audio issues. Let me fix this. Bump that up. Okay, how's that? How's the audio? Testing. Can chat let me know how the audio is? Okay, there we go. Yeah. Google Meet has a nasty habit of lowering volume. I think it's trying to do some kind of audio level correction, but man, I wish I could turn that off. All right, anyways, going back. So, as a designer, you're mostly solving problems or developing features. So, if you're going to be starting with a design, you generally want to understand 3 elements. First one is, what is the overall experience that we want out of this? You know, is this something we want to have slow and contemplative? Do we want to have it fast and action-packed? Do we want it mysterious? Do we want to have it whimsy? All those kinds of elements. You really got to start with the overall experience. Second, what is the specific problem we're solving? As in, players having problems navigating, or there's not enough challenge in this boss fight, there's too much challenge in this boss fight, etc., etc. Understand your specific problem. Then you also have to understand the constraints that you're working within. Budget, platform, timelines, all that kind of stuff. You have to be able to design within constraints. If your design does not work within constraints, that is not an effective design. Oh, there we go. Okay, so jumping into designing experience. So, important thing is you feel before you think. This is the limbic system. And if you who are returning FDI students know that I go on about the limbic system a lot because it's important. We always like to think that we rationally think about problems. We actually feel them first, then we start to think about them. It's just the physically how your brain is set up. Goes through the limbic system first, on the way to the prefrontal cortex. We feel it first, then we start to think about it. This is why it's really important to understand the emotion or feeling of your design. If you can identify that, it is much easier to communicate your design to other people. It's also much easier to understand if the design revisions you're making feel like they are part of the overall project that you're working on. So, grounding your design in emotion works with how your brain fundamentally operates. So, all logic is influenced by emotion. It's biologically impossible for it not to be. Just, it's literally how your brain is wired. Also, chat, let me know if the audio starts to quiet down again. I think I'm starting to notice that the volume reducing on this side. Okay. So, the thing is, understanding the vibe is the start of your overall design. God of War has a very different vibe or feeling than Animal Crossing does. It's kind of easy to see, does this fit in Animal Crossing or does this fit within God of War if you're thinking about it from the perspective of overall vibes, emotions, and feeling. Okay, audio is low again. Go, okay. Just a second here, I'm just gonna... Okay, there we go. I know you guys ain't hearing every little mouse movement. Okay, cool. So, don't start with what the player is doing, start with what they're feeling. So sometimes if you're handling a very specific technical design problem, this may not come readily in, but just keep it in the back of your mind. Most design problems, this is where you want to start though. Usually you're going to be designing a new feature or a new element, so you need to make sure that it is feeling emotionally resonant with the overall project. So, quick example of this. So I'd say, which is Mario, which is Call of Duty, which is Tetris. We got two different columns of features or elements. So on one column, we've got running, jumping, levels, items, enemies, shooting, multiplayer. Other side, we've got inventories, puzzles, scarcity, journey, Arctic, score, and time limits. Now, Thing is, of course, I've cherry-picked these list of nouns and I guess to be verbs as well. Probably got that wrong. Anyways, so sorry, let me gather myself here. Okay, within this list, kind of the trick is that it's not entirely clear which of these features belong to which title. You're thinking about this rationally. You're trying to match a specific feature to a specific item. So we got in chat, Mario's running and jumping. That's also in Call of Duty. So I've got a list of features that apply to both to Call of Duty and to Mario Brothers, even though those are radically different games. In Mario, you shoot fireballs. There's multiplayer elements within Mario as well. This is a problem a lot of designers run into, is they start thinking about their design as a list of features, and that list of features, when it's handed off to the rest of the team, does not clarify what the experience or the design is. You can also get multiple designers on a team that all start moving in a different direction, even though they're working on a very similar feature set, because you'll have a different understanding of what the overall user experience is supposed to be. So another example, so here you go. So which is Mario, which is Call of Duty, which is Tetris. So this makes it a lot more clear. And this is largely because we're looking at this in terms of what the emotion or the feeling of this is. It would be pretty clear to say that probably the image on the left there of children playing, closer to Mario or Tetris. The scene on the right of they're either dancing or fighting, whatever it is, it's very aggressive and very dirty, probably closer to Call of Duty. If I was to show you the picture on the right and say, well, this is what we're doing for Tetris, you'd look at me like I was a crazy person. Because we've established it emotionally and tonally, it's a lot clearer what we're actually trying to do. Okay, let me just fix my mic volume here. Let's see, it's dropping down again. There we go. All right. So, moving on. Okay. So now that we've designed our tone or emotion or feeling, we've identified that. We're going to shift over to designing a solution. So we know our overall tone, how we want the player to be feeling. Now we've got to look at actually what's the problem that we're solving. So here's a classic bad design of a terribly designed teapot. So what's the problem that we're solving here? Of course, it's if when the person goes to pour water out of the teapot, they're getting hot water on their hand. It's a terribly designed teapot. This is a miserable experience. So you want to be solving the problem specifically that the customer has. This is, again, another issue that I see a lot of designers overlooking, is they will be trying to solve, let me think best way to describe this. What they're trying to solve oftentimes are either what they were working on previously, or they're trying to fix things on the aesthetic side. I was just in part of a design meeting where we did a play test. Players were very confused about a feature, talked to the design team, and their overall solution they were presenting was, well, it's because the graphics weren't nice enough. I'm like, or maybe players were just genuinely confused about what that menu meant. I don't think us improving the graphics are going to clarify that. We have to fix this at the actual level, the problem the players are having, not the problem that we want to be solving this on. Solve the actual problem in front of the player. And oftentimes that will just come across as almost childishly simple. But that's fine. It's still an effective solution. It's obvious you'd fix this by moving the spout. That's really straightforward. You can move the spout or you can move the handle. You know? Okay. Something what Apple can design. Oh yeah, what's the thing actually with Apple? A wonderfully successful design company. They very much focus their design on just simplicity. They aggressively remove features, even if those features are particularly popular, like the headphone jack, because they're like, this just allows us to make this overall experience a lot more refined. Now, I do miss my headphone jack, but I understand why they made that design decision with their products. Pretty sure it also has something to do with selling additional wireless headphones to customers. Okay. All right. So okay, so how do we solve this problem? We can move the handle or we can move the spout because we're solving the exact problem the customer has. Probably what we'd want to do, because the water is coming out of the spout onto the customer's hand, I would say we move the spout. Probably the most straightforward way of solving this. Okay, another thing to keep in mind is you're always solving at the closest level of interaction. There's a few different abstract ways of solving this problem, but really as a designer, you want to be solving a problem at that closest level of interaction. So if players are confused about how to navigate a level, don't be solving it in the, I'm just trying to think it would be a particularly bad solution to that. It'd be solve the part of the level that they find confusing. Don't try to solve for the entire level. And there is a bit of an exception to that I'll get into in just a second. But when you're starting to solve a problem, it's oftentimes it's like I see people will be like working on a game, the weapons aren't interesting. The solution to that isn't introducing more weapons, it is to make the weapons more interesting. Solve it there. Don't be like, oh, well, we need a better art, or we need more weapons, or we need people constantly telling you how cool the weapons are. It's no, just make the weapons more interesting. Understand what it is about the weapons they find boring. Fix that. See if it works. It probably does. If it doesn't, you've misidentified the problem. Just take another whack at it. Look at it from a different angle. Okay, so solving at the closest level of interaction. So for example, levels, if players are confusing or players are finding a level confusing, solve it at the area that they actually find the level to be confusing. For UI, UX, if it's not clear how a button works, make the function of that button more clear. Camera, if you're constantly having issues with the camera being obstructed, perhaps it isn't a specific part of the level, perhaps it's a wider ranging issue, solve that problem with the camera getting obstructed. The objectives are unclear, clarify your objectives. This is one of the things that always drives me nuts, is games that do not properly communicate to players what their objectives are and why those objectives are important. And, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so, for example, of solving at the closest level of interaction. So, for example, we've got this fun little knitting game. Players are not finding the patterns that we're presenting to them particularly interesting to solve. These are not interesting puzzles. So, since the problem is users don't find the patterns interesting, we want to solve at the closest level of interaction. So we have to figure out where we'd be solving that problem. Is the issue overall that the objective context isn't clear? It's not clear why it's important for them to be solving these puzzles. Sometimes it can just be adding in something like a high score. Other issue is perhaps the problem complexity isn't properly considered. As in, it's either too complex, it isn't complex enough. There's the puzzle that they're trying to solve doesn't actually give them an interesting problem to solve. Or perhaps it's something else. But within this, we'd want to be solving it for if they don't find the puzzle interesting, what is it about the puzzle they don't find interesting, and you solve that. I feel like a lot of this stuff is perhaps overly obvious, but I'm amazed at the number of designers that just kind of overlook this step. Okay, there we go. We got knocked offline for a second there. Can everyone see me? Are we all good? Cool, okay. Apologies for the disruption there. Okay, so quick pro tip here. You want to solve the problem that resolves as many instances of the issue as possible. So if you've got a design problem that players are encountering in multiple areas, try to avoid solving that piecemeal. Try to understand what the common problem that's shared across all of these issues are. Solve that problem. So for example, if you got a bad camera, you can put in very bespoke camera assistance and camera guidance volumes and all that kind of stuff to whenever these problems occur, or you can just fix the damn camera. Okay, moving on to designing for constraints. Quick check with the chat. How's my audio sounding? Check, check. All right, if it gets too quiet, let me know. I'm moving on, moving forwards. Okay, so design for constraints. How do we solve this problem? We got a constraint that we can't move the spout. In that case, we can just move the handle. But, okay, so volume is too low again. There we go. Okay. There we are. All right, sweet. All right. So, how do we solve this problem? Constraint is that we can't move the spout. That means we have to move the handle. Because we better understand our constraints, that has changed the design solution that we're applying to the problem. It's an important thing. This is why you have to understand your constraints, respect your constraints before you can effectively design. What's your timeline? What's your medium? What's your audience? There we go. Your budget. What's the, how much time do you have? How much money do you have? How many people do you have to work on with solving the problem? The overall interface that's being used that people have to go through. Like, are we solving for a menu? Is it a 3D world? All that kind of stuff. Understanding the medium. So, so are we making this for console, PC, mobile? Those are all your different mediums, and all those have different, will require different design solutions. Also, the overall customer that you're targeting with this, that is also a constraint. So if I want to make a visceral, over-the-top action experience, if I'm designing that for men aged 30 to 45, that's a different design solution than if I'm designing it for girls aged 8 to 12. Oh man, this microphone issues are kicking my butt. Okay, there we go again. All right. So, just going to give a quick overview of what we discussed today. Man, we got through this material very quickly. Okay. So, when you're starting your design, you want to define your experience. What's the overall emotion or feeling that we want the customer to have? Second, identify the problem that you're solving. If you're creating something from whole cloth, this is a bit less prevalent. Generally, as a designer, you're going to be hired to solve a specific problem. And then the last one is understanding your constraints. So what are the budgets, medium, customer, interface, all that kind of stuff. There we go. All right, so we do have some homework for today. So this is it's more optional than required, but I would like to have you guys partake in this, and that is, I'd like you guys to write the concept or provide a build for a game. So effectively, I want you guys working on a game and iterating on it throughout the process of what we're doing here for the FDI Design Foundations 2025. So if you've got a game you want to work on, it's just a paper document or it's a concept, that's great. Perhaps you have a build for a game you're currently developing. What you want to do is post it on the Discord channel. So we have a student game project channel on Discord under the FDI Design Foundations 2025 category. If you're not a member of our Discord community, within the student information package, there will be a link to the Discord community in there. And then what we want to have is that we're just going to be iterating on these designs for the remainder of the program. So you'll be posting on the Discord channel. The community will be providing you feedback about the design. You will incorporate that feedback into the next iteration of your design. This is one of the things we really want the Paladins, our FDI Paladins, to really be helping with. So that'll be the assignment. The Google form for this will be uploaded to the Google Drive shortly. I'm just resolving a couple issues with that right now. All right, man, we finished this class in record time. Okay, so moving on. Does anyone have any questions? Any questions? Any thoughts? Thoughts, questions, concerns? If I'm tasked with ideating a new game, how does identify the problem we want to solve mean here? Oh, that's actually a pretty straightforward one. You'd probably be wanting to make that game for a specific customer. So say look at it is rare. So sorry, let me gather my thoughts here. A company will come to you and say, just make us a new game. It'd be something like, hey, we want to break into the mobile sector. We want to create an iteration of this that'll work in the Chinese market. We want to, get this working on we want to have a version of this that works on Nintendo Switch, or we want to be emphasizing multiplayer, all these kinds of things. If someone has come to you with just asking just asking you to make a new game, ask them, what does this game need to do? What's the problem in this thing to solve? And don't start until you fully understand that. Okay. Any other questions? Actually, Anush, did that answer your question? Okay, awesome. All right. Anyone else? Thoughts, questions, concerns? Okay. Lucas, Drew, Mutib. Any questions from you guys?
Nope, all good. I've got a project already I'm working on that I'm probably going to use for this, so timing is good.
Okay, that'd be great. Please post it to the Discord. Looking forward to seeing what you guys are coming up with.
Do you want builds posted from itch or what?
Yes. Yeah, so that's one of the things in the guidelines. Post a link to the build or the document or whatever it is that you're currently working on.
Okay. I'm the same. I finished a game at the beginning of the month, and we are starting a new one we started last week, so I'm gonna use that in the the project.
Okay, that'd be great. Looking forward to seeing what you guys post. All right. If there's no other questions, I think we'll just wrap it up there. Of a very early conclusion to the class. I might have overcorrected on the problem of these classes going on for too long. All right. Anyways, thank you very much, everyone, for your time. Oh, Matik, sorry.
I say that it was a very like frequent. Uh, this class was very short, but it was
Yeah. I probably could have included those design fundamentals. Oh well. Next week will probably be a longer class. Okay. Actually, sorry. Bit of a design aside. Part of the new design for the slides was to help me get through the material more quickly. Seems to have worked there. Overcorrected though. So I'll keep working on that. All right. Have an excellent weekend, everyone. Happy Halloween. I think we're also going to move this over to, what is it? Microsoft Teams. Because I've been wrestling with this Google Meet microphone volume issue for ages. I think I just got to rip off the Band-Aid and change our tech stack on this. All right. Later, everyone.